Okay, so yeah, I wanted to, so you guys, tough love, you guys are doing great. I just want to just continue to affirm everybody. I know that you all committed and you're showing up and you're doing the work and you're doing the challenges and you're emailing me. I love that. I've been getting lots of chicken lists and you guys have taken the time to kind of break all of that down. I've read every single one and I'm going to take time to hopefully kind of go back through and maybe work with you guys on the individuals. But I wanted to do this Sunday night. And so people have asked, are we going to do tough love calls every Sunday? And here's what my thinking on it. I only want to do calls if I feel like we need a call. I don't want to make you, every single Sunday because we have Tuesday calls that aren't going away. So I want to make sure you guys are really plugged into our Tuesday calls. And like I've said, I've got guest speakers for 2 months and I've invited all of the guest speakers and told them that we're doing this tough love thing. And so what they're going to be speaking on is sort of like how they got to be successful and how much work it was. So the whole team is going to get to hear it. So just make sure you're on those Tuesday calls because they're really going to play into what we're doing on our tough love challenge. But I do, I feel like we need to kind of get together and there needs to be a message that I get to everybody at one time. I will call a Sunday meeting about 9 o'clock. So you can kind of just be looking for it. Maybe not necessarily every week. Okay. So I've thought about a couple of things. You guys, where should I start? I'm going to start with chicken list and prayer, and then we're going to talk about follow-up. So you guys have thought, the idea for this week, the challenge this week with coming up with your chicken list was just basically to make you start thinking, just to kind of get your wheels turning. Who are my top 5? Who are 5 people that I would love to be a business partner with? And I want you to hold on to that business partner idea, because chicken list people are not people that are easy. I mean, that's the deal. I mean, a chicken list person is somebody that you want to be a business partner with, that you imagine isn't just going to like the products, isn't somebody that you just want to like give them a sample, but somebody that you want to, what I call courting. Almost, like you guys you're going to court somebody. You don't just ask them to marry you. You kind of work with them and you want to show them really, why you would love to be their business partner. So they're going to take a little bit of time and energy. So I want this week, we're going to focus on those 5 people. Okay, so we're going to come up with a plan to talk to those people, to reach out to them, to start planting the seeds. Now, do we have the expectation that we're going to just reach out to a chicken list person and they're be like, yeah, sign me up? I mean, wouldn't that be awesome? That could happen. But I wouldn't have that expectation. I want you guys to have the expectation that you are going to really spend some time with these people, that you're going to plant the seed, and you're going to be really authentic in building and cementing the relationship that you already have with them, but also affirming them and why you want them to be your business partner. Okay? So with your chicken list, I want, this week, we want to reach out to them and let them know that you want to be a business partner with them. And here's why. And when you affirm them, when you just say, Mary, I would love to be business partners with you because you have an incredible network. Everybody loves you. You're a hard worker. You're an entrepreneur. Whatever it is, I want you to be thinking about each person on your list, the 5 people on your list. And then I want you to really kind of map out what it is about that person. You've done that to an extent with what you've given me, why you want them to be on your why they're on your chicken list, and why you want them on your team. But really take the time to position it in your mind the way that you're going to say it to them. Why you think they would be really, really, really awesome. And when you feed somebody's ego, y'all, they are not going to shut you down. They are not. They're just not, because you're giving them a compliment. Everyone loves to be complimented. And you're being authentic and genuine, so it's real, okay? So I want you to really take some time and think about how you're going to communicate why it is that you want them and you love them. I'm going to give you guys an example of one that's on the top of my list. Her name is Michelle Sherwa. We were friends in gymnastics going through grade school. She was the kind of person that everybody loved her. She was a homecoming queen. She was the star gymnast. She was the SCA president. Then she went on to college and was on the cheer team. And then she was like the captain of the cheer team in college. And she's beautiful and her children are beautiful. And she's always on Facebook and beautiful and really, really happy and positive. And okay, so I want this girl. She's like #1 on my list because I could just imagine she's just the kind of person that loves people and can be awesome. I told her that I wanted her on my team in 2014, y'all. Like, this is no, I'm serious. But I just did it just that because I just wanted to tell her, I love this Plexus business. I could see you doing this Plexus business and being just amazing at it, okay? But I have continued to plant the seeds with her for now it's going on 2.5 years. So, I'll just kind of send her something every once in a while. Hey, I just want you to look at this, look at Plexus. I think you would really love it. I think, you're in health and wellness. And anyway, so I've just been really consistent about giving her information. And I'll just send her Facebook messages. I make sure that I go to her timeline and I know what's going on and I comment on her cute kids because I always want to make sure that my stuff is showing up in her timeline, because when you comment on people's stuff, their stuff shows up more, your stuff shows up more. That's how Facebook works. So I've been consistent in doing that for 2.5 years. I send her voice messengers all the time. So if I see something that she's posted that I want to just affirm her in or ask her about, her brother got married, I'm going to say, oh my gosh, congratulations. I saw your, beautiful pictures. But the whole time, I've already told her I want her to be my Plexus person. Like, she kind of knows that. But I just want to stay in relationship with her. Okay. So I'll stay engaged, and then every once in a while I'll send her that voice messenger again and be like, Michelle, oh my gosh, you've got to be doing this with me. Plexus just launched an incredible promotion in October, and this company is going places and you need to be on board. So I'm just continuing to do that. Well, just this past week, I'm going to pull it up because after I tell you guys all of this, and I'm telling you this because it's just an example of what happens when you stay consistent. So this is a message that she just sent me, y'all. Hold on, let me find it. Hold on, I really want you guys to hear this. Because, there she is, Michelle. Hang on. Okay. Here's what she says to me, just September 29th. And literally, guys, we've been talking about Plexus for 2.5 years. She said, hey, Mama, funny story. So I know you've been planting the seed for me to join your team, and although I'm still holding back, I might have found a new client. Haha. A friend of mine was talking about her addiction to sugar and how it was she was super irritable and gaining weight, but she just can't stop her obsession with sweets. So I said, wow, you're in luck. Have you ever heard of Plexus? To which she replied, no. So I gave her a very, very brief description of your slim drink and how you and your clients rave about it, balancing the body. So I told her I would connect with you to see how she can learn more. She's not on Facebook. Is there an email address I can send her, or would you like her her email address? She seemed interested but unsure, and I, of course, didn't do it justice because I didn't know all your lingo. However, I did make the connection. Anyway, let me know what's next for her. Linda Roberts. Okay? Like, seriously, y'all, 2.5 years it took for her. But she's been watching, she's been reading my stuff, she already knows. So she thought of it. So you guys know I'm so all over that. I'm going to get this girl, Linda, to be a customer, and then I'm going to give her to Michelle. And before I sign her up, I'm going to be like, no, wait a minute. I want you to be Michelle's person, and my goal is to get Michelle signed up as an ambassador and give her her first customer, okay? So that's an example of a chickenless person it's going to take work. So you have to be committed, you have to be consistent, and you have to just keep working it. So that's what you're going to start. My challenge to you guys is this week, is those 5 people. Now make sure that they're really, really worth it. Okay, if you just made it up because I told you to make up 5 and that's all that could come to mind, but they're not really that awesome, then maybe you're only going to work with 3, or you need to rethink it, because I want them to be awesome people that you just would just blow it out of the water. Okay, so we're going to be okay. And then I also want to challenge you guys to cover it in prayer. I'm going to say that again. Cover it in prayer. Cover your business in prayer. cover your chicken list in prayer, cover your people in prayer that you want. Because if you, and I know a lot of you guys are reading this Circle Maker, and so it kind of, that's what that's really about. Like, it's okay to pray for God's blessing on your business. And for me, I mean, I can trace back to the time, I know that there's been times where I was just sort of flooded with people and business, and there was no way to explain it except just God's provision and just kind of, I mean, really just kind of answer prayer. Now, do we do the work? Of course. You know, you work like everything depends on God. You pray like you work like everything depends on you. Pray like everything depends on Him. So you kind of keep that motto. So I want you guys, as you're thinking about your chicken people and planting your seeds, I want you to be praying specifically for those people to come to your team. And then what happens is when you really know that you've been praying for it, when someone then says no, it's like, it's okay, because you just know, well, then it's not the right time. God hasn't called them to it yet. It's in His timing, and it's going to be in their timing. And it gives a little bit of, it kind of just it takes away the rejection feeling, because you're like, it's okay, because I know that I've covered it in prayer. All right. So I want us to be intentional about, for all of us, because if I know that my people that want this are in prayer mode over their business, and I'm in prayer mode, I'm praying over each of y'all and y'all's business, can't help but be successful. I mean, that's the way it rolls. That's the way it works. You can't help but be successful when you know God's hand is in it. All right. So I wanted to kind of put that out there with this chicken list idea. So really this week, focus on your people, focus on praying intentionally. And then I want to help you with that. So work with me. You know, if you're feeling stuck and you're not sure what to say, then let me know and we can work together, because that's my goal in this challenge, is it not to just be this Facebook page that I post a bunch of stuff and give you a bunch of challenges, but that we start developing a relationship so I get it with you and we're working together. But there's a lot of people, so you got to come to me. So I'll just kind of throw that out there again. And then I'm going to come back to you. That's the way this thing's going to work. All right. So does anybody want to comment on what I just said before I move into follow-up? Anybody have any comments, anything, questions, anything I can help with now? All right. Well, go ahead with your bad self, Margie. Margie's in the middle of signing people up. That's good. Okay, so nothing on chickens. Nothing.
Let me ask you. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah, of course. Please.
So basically with the chicken list, we're focusing, trying to cultivate the relationship more than just hit and run type.
Mm-hmm.
Like try to set up lunch dates with old friends that are on our list, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because what we've been doing, I'm getting ready to talk to what I've been having you guys do with this big, massive 10-a-day thing, because I get that's a lot and it's overwhelming. We're getting ready to reel it in. That's where I'm getting ready to go with all this. Chickens are a little different because they're not just like, hey, can I send you a sample and get your feedback? Because with the reaching out to 10 a day, the idea is just, I wanted, basically what we wanted to do is fill your funnel. I wanted your funnel to be full because then if you were reaching out to that many people, ideally 70 people a week, you're going to have people that said, yeah, give me a sample. I mean, it's inevitable, right? So you've got some people to work with. So that's a little different. Those are people that we have to work with, to become hopefully customers or maybe ambassadors. Chickens are people that they're in your network, man, and you just know that they would kill it if they got into this business. So they require a little bit of special. They're special. So yes, so we are gonna the relationship, continue to cultivate the relationship, be creative, stay in their face, I guess. Like what I was saying, what I did with Michelle. I added her with her permission, of course, to the Share Your Journey page. But I let her know. It wasn't like I was doing it just to be in her, like, hey, I let her know in the beginning that I wanted her to be on my team. And I've continued to remind her of that. And I've continued to affirm her, like, why? Because of all the things I just told you guys, So, and I use voice messenger really all the time for things like that. Even if someone honestly just pops into my head, like I just think about her, like as I'm driving down the road or something. I'll just be at a stoplight. Hey, Michelle, I'm just thinking about you. Plexus, we're blowing it up over here at Plexus. Man, I want to be on the beach with you. Girl, keep thinking about it. Come on. Like that's my personality though. I mean, you have to make it sound like you, but I don't, so if you have a more formal relationship with somebody, then you have to respect the relationship too, right? If it's somebody that's maybe at your office, that person you might need to be a little more formal with, and maybe say, hey, I would love to, this is why I think you would be great. I would love to be a business partner with you. Can I send you an email that breaks down the comp plan, and maybe you could look over it because you're really, really smart. I mean, I don't know, something like that, right?
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Oh, yeah.
I know it's like there's no cookie cutter for this stuff, so I wish there was. And again, this is just what I've learned and my experience. And that's, and that a lot of times might not be exactly as we're watching all the Eric Worries and the Sandra Stringers and the Danny Johnson. We have all these professional network marketers that are giving us training. I don't even know that always I listen to all that stuff, and sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. And so I'm just pouring out what's worked for me and what I think could work for you. But it's also a matter of, it's got to be comfortable for you too. I don't know. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It does.
So I'm just pouring out what I have done, and maybe it will work for you. But I do think that, being intentional about the people that you want to be doing the business with is very important. And I can also tell you that I've had people on my chicken list who have signed up, who I thought were going to be awesome and weren't. Unfortunately, that's possible too. That's going to probably happen also, where they were awesome for a month or two and then they flew the coop. Yeah. And so, you just keep working them. So lots of pouring into, yeah. And a lot of times, like I think Haley said this last night, this was really good. She has a couple that she's working with that's in a life group, and they have their own business. And so this was really great. This was perfect, Haley. She said, she went to them and said, hey, I'm starting this Plexus business, and I would really love for you to look at the comp plan and break it down with me, and so I could learn from you. And because they're mentors to her already. And so by her inviting these really smart business people in to just look at the comp plan, and she's taken a role of like, teach me. Well, of course, in the meantime, they're looking at the comp plan and might be going, this is a pretty good comp plan. And because they're entrepreneurial minded, So I thought that was a really good creative way to go about someone on your chicken list. Put them in the driver's seat without them really knowing that you put them in the driver's seat. Because really, Haley's going to stay in the driver's seat, right, Haley? She has expectation there. So, so this week's focus on your chickens and focus on the prayer time about that, and then affirming them. If you just affirm them, they're not going to say no to you. They're going to be flattered. Even if they aren't ready for the business yet, they will be flattered that you think that of them, right? Anybody else have anything they want to add before I move on to follow up? I'm getting hot. I gotta take this scarf out. I've been cold all day.
Hey, Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn.
Yeah.
I wanted you to check out my chickens.
Hi. Who is that, Margie?
This is Margie with all of my chickens.
You got all your chickens? Well, you better get those chickens signed up.
That's what I'm working on.
Well, girl, rock and roll. We got a good team, chickens. We're ready. Is that Dodie back there?
Mm-hmm. She's out here helping me because I have 3 of them to do. They're from Canada.
Oh, awesome. We got Canadians. Well, you need to show them the Schmidt, the first diamond in Canada we just got this year. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Eva Schmidt is the first diamond in Canada. So it's rocking in Canada right now. There's only one diamond in the whole big, huge country.
Very cool. I'll let them know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to listen, and I'm going to go back to work. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay, cool. All right, anybody else before I move on to follow up? Check out my chickens. That's funny. Okay, Well, if you think of anything, just let me know. All right, so let's talk about follow-up. All right, so we've been really in major building mode. I've said, you know, the challenge has been 10 a day and really asking you guys to go out and just hit it hard. Do I think that level, yeah, that level of activity for success is awesome. And I've gotten some feedback from you guys, and those of you that have been consistently doing it, I'm hearing from you. You're like, yeah, people are saying, yeah, I'm sending out samples. Yeah, this is starting to work really great for me. Now, what I will say, if you are feeling the momentum and you're feeling the energy and you have no problem with the 10 and what we're going to talk about, following up with them, because really that's where the important part, the really important part is. If you can effectively follow up and continue to reach out to 10 a day, then absolutely, I want you to continue at that level of activity, because if you continue at that high level of activity, you are going to see the result. That's the deal. If that's starting to feel a little overwhelming to you, I'm going to give you my permission to start doing 5 a day for a little while, because it's okay, because that 5 a day, reaching out to 5 new people a day, is a good baseline. It's a good, like, sort of average place to kind of run your business. Don't fall below 5, because when you start to kind of get out of the habit of reaching out every day, it's very quick. You can very quickly get into a mode of like complacency. Not doing it. It's really easy to get there. And so we can't get there. This is, we're trying to get to Maui. And in order to get to that level, we got to continue really being consistent worker in our business. So if you are good with the level of activity that you're at, I say absolutely stay there. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, 5's okay. 5 is okay. I'm giving total permission. But see, here's the deal. We have to be good at following up. And following up is really the key in our business. The reaching out is awesome, but it's great if we send out a sample, but if we don't have a really great follow-up system in place in an organized fashion that we're doing it, it's not going to do us any good to send out a sample. All we're basically doing is setting ourselves up for disappointment and spending our money sending out samples, and we don't want to do that. So if you haven't heard the sales statistic before, and even if you have, I think it's a good reminder that most sales, when we're in this, I mean, as much as we say we're share people, and we are, and when at the end of the day, there's a sale, there's a closing of a sale that has to be made, either as a customer or an ambassador. Most of those are made between the 8th and 12th follow-up. That's sort of sales statistics. So between 8 and 12 times before somebody makes a decision. Most people give up after 2 or 3. Okay, so if most of salespeople, share people, ambassadors, whatever, are giving up after 2 or 3, then they're missing almost all of the business. And so you got to wrap your mind around understanding that you have to become a master, not even a master. When I say a master at following up, you have to be so committed to following through and the follow-up process to get to that 8th and 12th follow-up so you can get the sale. You have to just understand it and be really committed to it. In my personal business, like, I'm just sharing, at the times of my highest success, or I'm like 3,000 PV and adding 10 people a month, and like my highest volume, which is not now, I'll be honest with you guys, because it changes. It's hard to do that at that level and be a good team leader. It really is. I'm still struggling with that. That's my problem. But I would say that I was almost relentless in following up. I can honestly say that. Like, following up was so, like, every day, follow up, make it easy, follow up. Okay. So you guys were like, okay, well, what is it? What do you say 8 to 12 times, right? Maybe that's your question. Like, what am I going to say? So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to kind of break it down, because I know that I'm going to give you guys some ideas, and these are just ideas and some different things that you can do as you're kind of doing this follow-up process. You probably sent out a bunch of samples, right? So all those people that are what we call in your funnel, that they said, yes, send me a sample, or now those are your people that you're going to focus on. And it's very important to be following up and doing something and engaging them, because right now they're hot, what I would call a hot lead. I'm going to answer that question in a minute, Linda, when I finish this, but I'll answer your no question. So if someone says yes, send me a sample, they're like a hot lead. All right. A hot lead, do not do every single day. When I have a hot lead, man, I am connecting with them every single day until they say yes or until they say leave me alone. And then if they say leave me alone, I still keep them on my list and I just don't do it as often. So, I mean, it's like if it takes 30 days, if it takes the entire month, every single day, do something. Then you're like, well, am I going to drive them crazy? Like, what am I going to say every single day, right? That's your question to me. It doesn't always have to be like, it's not like, hey, how did you like the product? Or, hey, what did you think of Plexus? Or, hey, are you ready to buy? Like, those are not really good things to say to people because that is annoying, right? If every day you're like, what did you think? What did you think of the pink drink? Did you try your pink drink yet? Yeah, they're like, they forgot, whatever. So we have to be a little bit more creative. We have to be a little bit more in tune with our people that we've sent the samples to. So here's some ideas that you could do to just engage them, because I do think just engaging them in the process, I would count as a follow-up because it's a contact, which is kind of the same thing. It's a reach out. I love to, whenever I'm getting ready to send a sample out, like I'll take a picture, and I've shared this with a few of you, like take a picture of the envelope, right? Like I take a picture, it's got their name and their address and it's all pretty. And I'm like, I take a picture and I send it on Facebook Messenger. I'm like, okay, it's going out in the morning. I can't wait for you to get your pink drink. Let me know when it arrives. Okay, that's one. That's just me saying that to them. So then I'm hoping that they get it, right? And then I say, or, when it shows up, make sure you let me know. I've got some tips for you. Hopefully that person, you can build the anticipation of their sample coming. So their sample gets there and hopefully they will contact you. But you can also, like, if you mailed it on a Monday and they're local, well, they should probably get it by Wednesday, right? So let's say Wednesday rolls around and they haven't said anything to you. You might want to, hey, have you checked the mail today? I think your sample might be there. Let me know. Then, they're like, oh, yeah, let me go check. Oh, yeah, it arrived. Awesome. Here, quick tips. Make sure you put your pink drink in room temperature water and then add ice. It's really great over ice, but if you let them know that it clumps up. It's just a fun little tip. Drink it in the morning. You might find that it gives you really great energy throughout the day. So just like small little tips, just basic stuff. It's also good, if you like lemon, squeeze a little lemon in there, just that kind of thing, because that's engaging them. It's getting them engaged in the process. So with the samples, also another thing that I like to ask people to do, and sometimes they do it and sometimes they don't, is say, hey, when you get your pink drink, you make your first pink drink, take a selfie and send it to me. I want to see it. And then, so then they do, they're excited, they take their selfie, and then I say, hey, would you mind putting that on my timeline and tagging me? Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but it's still engaging them. And so that kind of stuff kind of counts for your, I think it does. I think it kind of counts because you're getting them excited, you're building the anticipation. And then I like to do things like, oh, good, you're taking your pink drink. You might notice some extra energy today. When you sleep tonight, after a couple days, you might notice you sleep sounder. You can set up the expectation of what might happen because they might not even realize that they had a better night's sleep, right? Unless you kind of put the bug in their ear, or they might not realize, Lisa was right. I do have a little more energy than I normally do. And then you also want to set the expectation, 3 days is great, but man, you should do this stuff for 30 days. It totally is 30 days, you will be like a brand new person. Just little conversational things like that, because you can set the expectation. Another thing that I think is great to do is when you do send out those samples and you have people that say yes, immediately ask their permission, say, hey, I want to add you to a Plexus, a page for our, that'll give you a little bit more support where you can learn a little bit more, where you can kind of do your own research, like put them in the driver's seat for getting the information. So we have your Share Your Journey page, which you're always welcome to use. Many of you have started your own customer pages, or maybe you just, right, maybe you don't, and you want to have, I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Margie. I don't know what she's talking about. She's like really into whatever she's saying. Anyway, it's just funny. I don't know if you guys are watching her, but she's like the biggest person on my screen right now. Sorry, I just got distracted. So you can have them, I just totally got distracted watching Margie like talk with her hands. So anyway, so just making sure that with that sample process that you're really engaging them. Oh, I know what I was saying. So start your own. So maybe right now you say, well, that's easy. I'll just go start my own customer page. Just do it and add your people to it, and you manage it. And I know for the one, I started that Share Your Journey page back when I first started, and I had a handful of customers, like 10 people. And I said, well, I'm just going to put them on this page, and then that way I can post the information and make sure that now I use the page for my team. And I try to make sure that I'm putting like really informational stuff on there. So for that person that wants to dig deeper and wants the information, they have a place that they can go. And I really think, like my friend Michelle, I have her on that page. So I think that's probably where she even got any idea of what to say about Plexus, because she's not even an ambassador and she's talking to this friend of hers. So I think she probably got it off the customer page. I think that's a really good thing to do. So you do that. Okay. And then also as you are working with the people that are in your funnel that are interested in Plexus, you want to make sure that you've asked a lot of questions of them. So not only are you kind of engaging them very lightly and engaging them in the process, which is super important because you've sent out a sample, you've invested money in them, and you want them to know that it's important to you for them to take that sample. Because way too often I hear about people, they get a sample and they get a package and they just throw it on their counter and they never take it. And that's super frustrating, right, guys? And you don't want to just keep hounding somebody and bugging them. Hey, have you tried your sample yet? Hey, let me know what you think. That's like hounding people. That sounds obnoxious. And we don't ever want to be obnoxious, and we don't ever want to sound desperate. So by doing those little things to engage them in the process, you're subtly kind of reminding them that it's important to you, and therefore hopefully it will be important to them. And sometimes, you will get people that just go crickets, whatever. You just keep doing your job. You just keep reaching out and making sure that they know how important it is that they try the sample. And then if for some reason you're just not getting anything back, don't be afraid to finally go, man, where'd you go? MIA? You in the witness protection program? Girl, talk to me. What's going on? Like, I've done that many times to people. When they just will not talk to me, I just call them out on it. You can do that. I mean, it depends on your relationship, obviously, with somebody, but you can be kind of casual, like, hey, talk to me. I'm over here dying. Talk to me. I want to know what you think. So what I was saying is, in that too, when someone has said, yes, I'm interested, send me a sample, you want to make sure that you ask lots of really great questions. You want to immediately ask them, great, tell me a little bit about any health goals that you might have. Tell me about any health concerns that you might have. Tell me about any medications that you're on, health history, because you are a consultant. I mean, think of yourself as their health consultant, that they're coming and they're going to be trusting you and your recommendations. And so you really want to ask great questions. I think that's the most important thing that we can do, because from the questions that they answer, that will determine your really great follow-up and give you something to follow up about. Okay. So it's not just being like, hey, what'd you think? So if you haven't already done that, I know we've already gone through 2 weeks of reaching out and filling our funnels. If you haven't already done that, you want to kind of go back and do that process of asking them about those things. And then in a minute, I'm going to share a couple different organizational methods for you guys that you can, and you might already have something. There's lots of people that are way more organized than me. I will just share with you what has worked for me. You can do it, tweak it, do whatever, but it is really important to have a good organizational system. Once you've got the information, and I will say I love the note card system. So let's just say you have little index cards on your person. So Mary Jane Roberts and you have, sent 3-day sample, wants to lose 25 pounds, on thyroid medication, and then maybe anything else that you might know about her. She has young children and tired all the time. Okay, so you've at least got, it's like a file, like you keep a file on all of your people. Well, based on the file that I've collected, the information I've collected about her, that's also going to help me determine what kind of information, good, meaty stuff that I send her. So I'm going to send her information about, this is another thing I always ask people, well, what is the best way to communicate with you? What is your preference of communication? So would you prefer text? Would you prefer email? Would you prefer Facebook Messenger? Would you prefer a phone call? Ask them, and they will tell you, and they will give you permission to follow up in a certain way. I do like to, even if someone doesn't say that email is their preferred method, I like to always get their email address, because you can mix it up a little bit. So if you're sending a Facebook message one day, then I will send an email message the next day. If I have their phone number and I have that relationship, I'll send a text message. So kind of mix it up a little bit. It doesn't always need to be one way, but you got to get the information so you can, use all the different mediums. All right. So once you have all of that, what I was getting to is, so let's say you have their email address and you have Facebook Messenger, you know what their goals are. So I have this card on my person, and she tells me she wants to lose weight and she has thyroid condition. Well, I might find a really great article about natural ways to help thyroid, right? So I might even start educating her on her thyroid condition and ways and certain vitamins that help with that. Okay. Like that could be, what is the thyroid? Let's say a vitamin D deficiency. I'm kind of making this up, y'all. I'm just going with this. But, and if you find out, you find an article about it being a vitamin D deficiency, then you can make the connection. Isn't it great that we have vitamin D in our X factor? Okay. So a lot of times it's really great to send third-party articles. It doesn't always have to be plexus related. If somebody tells me that they have really bad back pain, that points to inflammation. And there's a really great article out there on Mercola about the green-lipped mussel and how that helps with inflammation. Send that to that person, because there's a lot of value. There's really a lot of really great value in doing that. That's showing your person that you're invested, you've really listened to them, and that you're looking for information that's going to help them. And then, of course, but you're linking it, of course, to, the plexus ease, or that's the green lip muscle, right? Yeah. So then you show them the plexus. Oh, that has the green lip muscle in it. Isn't that wonderful? I think this could really be helpful to you. So those are the kinds of things, be thinking. Sometimes it's okay. You kind of, with follow-up, think kind of outside the box. Now, obviously that takes time and takes energy to be a good master person with follow-up, because you got to go find the article and then you send it and write, but it's worth it. It's worth it. When that person starts to really see the value in the products and the value in the most important thing to them is what the products are going to do for them. And when you've effectively answered that question, it kind of takes away everything else off the table. In my opinion, all of a sudden when someone sees value in that it could help them, it could help them with a terrible back pain that they've been suffering with, and it's going to possibly improve their quality of life. Money isn't really the issue anymore. I mean, it really isn't. It becomes less of an issue. And if it is an issue, then they will figure out a way to make it happen. All right. That's generally my experience with people. I mean, right? There's lots of people that are out there with tennis shoes that they can't afford and designer purses that they can't really afford, because they saw the value in it and they figured out a way to purchase it. Right, guys? Well, that's our job as really effective ambassadors, is to create the value for them so they figure out a way to make it happen. And it's way better to start feeling better and improve your quality of life than have a really fancy bag. So what we have is way better than what people are spending their money on. So that info, so I want you guys to get that. So as we're thinking about really great follow-up, it's very important to get the information because that will dictate your follow-up. So sending articles, sending third-party validation from those articles to affirm because you've done a good job and asking the questions you want to get to create the value. All right, so I'm kind of just reeling in here. All right. And then I do think, like I was saying, it's use different mediums, right? So one person might be really great at Facebook, and then somebody else only checks their Facebook once a week. And so if you're only using Facebook Messenger to communicate with people, then some people are getting it and some people, I would venture to say, are not. All right. So you want to switch it up. So you might want to send, and when you're keeping that sort of maybe index card, that file on somebody, you want to write it down every single time. On, October 10th, I did an email and just kind of like what the email was. On September 12th or October 12th, I sent a Facebook Messenger, and this is so you kind of keep track. You can track it and see what you're doing, and then I want you to switch it up. So you do an email one time, you do a Facebook Messenger one time, and maybe you do a text one time, all right? And then, of course, phone calls are always the best. If you can get to somebody that way, highly recommend doing that as well. One of the things Eric Worre always says about phone calls, and I love this, is he says, you always want to value their time and you always want to make your time really valuable also. So if you just kind of like, hey, what's up, girl? And then the person's like, oh gosh, what is this going to be about? But you'd be like, hey, I've only got a minute. That's what he says. Hey, I'm running and I've only got a minute, but I just wanted to touch base with you. Make sure you got those Plexus samples that I sent you, and make sure, if you had any questions, let me know. Like, let them know that you're not going to keep them on the phone. You're not asking for a long conversation. You're a busy person, and your time is really valuable. So when you do a phone call, specifically when the intent is about Plexus, do that. Yes, exactly. Less time to be awkward. That's right. Teresa just put that. So it's like, girl, I'm running really hard, but I just wanted to make sure I touch base with you. That's it, and move on. People appreciate phone calls too. I don't do them nearly enough. I'm not a phone person, I'll be honest with you. So I'm kind of preaching to myself right now because I need to call people more, but I don't like it. But sometimes we have to do things we don't like. All right. Okay, in that, you want to mix it up. And if you remember this, facts tell, stories sell. I'm sure you've heard that before. So yes, it's good to send information, like factual information, because that gives people the information and empowers them to do their own research. Stories sell. So you can't do all facts, because you got to mix it up. One time you might want to send some ingredient information, and then another time you want to send a testimony. Testimonies are really important. So you got to be good at searching out testimonies that apply to the person. And remember, you've done a great job asking the questions, so you find the testimonies that again create the value. That someone's like, oh, she's like me, and it helped her. Then in their mind they're going, oh, then maybe it could help me too. All right. So again, that value's happening. They're feeling that, oh, I need this stuff. Wow, I need it. Because we're hope dealers. We say that a lot. You're hope dealers. So when you're following up, think about that. You're showing them the hope. Okay. And you've got to consistently do that. Let's see. What else do I want to say? Oh, anybody, I'm going to stop right there. Because I'm going to move in a minute to organization. Anybody have any questions for me? And I'm going to drink some water. Anybody have anything? Or maybe it's not a question. Maybe you have something to add. A lot of you guys are really seasoned and have really effective means, really effective ideas. Anybody want to share an idea? That's true. It is kind of harder to find testimonies now that compliance won't allow it. It is harder. They're still out there. Okay, so here's what you can do, because they're still there on the Facebook pages, Anita. So if you go to, say, the ambassador support page, or share your journey, or any share your journey page, or even Destination Diamond, because there was a time that even Destination Diamond had people sharing stories. So any of those Facebook pages, go to the search menu and type in MS or diabetes or whatever it is that you're searching for, it's going to search the entire page for as long as that page has been in existence. So if that page has been around since 2013, it's going to pull up testimonies from back then. And you can copy them. And you just copy them, and you're not publicly putting it on your private on your timeline. So it's fine. It's perfectly okay to take a testimony from 2013 that you found on a Facebook page and send it in a private message. Totally fine. Okay, so that's what I would do about that. Jerry, what do you do when you followed up and they never drank the sample? I mean, again, like kind of what I'm saying, like you have to show them, create the value, like you let them know that it's really important and that you've invested in them and they need to try the sample. I mean, what do you do? I know. I mean, it's a lot easier for me to sit here and say this stuff, but you can't necessarily go to the person's house and make the pink drink for them. Although you could say that, like Jerry, you could try to, you're funny, Jerry, and have a really sarcastic, funny way about you. So you could maybe say that if they're in your hometown, or even if they're not, be like, well, what do you want me to do? Get on a plane? All right, you know what? I'm going to go buy a plane ticket and fly to your house. And Monday morning, I'm going to stand in your kitchen and make it for you and shake it up. Is that what we need to do here? I mean, I don't know. You could probably get away with that. Like, just, you can be funny about it, you know? Like, what are we going to have to do here to get you to don't you want your life to change? Don't you want to be a better person? Just drink the pink drink. I don't know. Just go, when you're all in and you're a crazy plexus person, just go for it. Okay, anybody else have any questions about follow-up, the importance of it, and how to do it? I hope this is helpful, you guys. I hope it is. Okay, so organization, right? We've got to be organized, because if we're not organized about following up with people, it's super easy for us to lose and forget what we've already said, what we've already done. So honestly, my favorite old school method, just as my personal, but there's different ways you can do this, is the card box. All right, I'm gonna find my card box over here. I did a video about this a long time ago, so it's on YouTube. Someone asked me to do it, actually, and I did. And anyway, so it's there. I'll explain it. But so I just have like this card file box right here. And so in my card file box, I have all these cards, index cards of people that through the years that I've collected. So they're like little files on everybody. And so I always have these. And so I can always sort of just have them at my fingertips. So it's, for me, a really easy, great way to stay organized. The way that I do my box that I found the most effective for me, again, everybody works different. I mean, organization, I get it, is a really personal thing. All of our brains work differently. So this is just what I use. So you can tweak it and maybe just get some ideas from it. So I like to know, I have in my box, I have these little tabs, and they're numbered 1. You can see this is a 1 through 31, and they all represent days of the month. And what happens is when somebody is a hot prospect, I have their card for 30 days at the front of my box. So I don't put them in the 1 through 31s for the first 30 days. They're hot. They're somebody I just sent a message to. Sent a sample to. There's somebody that have reached out to me, because if they're a hot prospect, I just told you guys, it's like every day. I'm not waiting. And I don't want you to wait either. This is my tough love to you guys. Do not be slow at follow-up. When somebody wants it, they want it, then there's hope. That's when the longer the time goes by, the less enthusiasm they have, the less your chances of getting them on board. That's just, to me, a fact. So for 30 days, they stay at the front of my box, because every night when I go to my box, I want to make sure that I'm following up and sending them something, doing something, engaging them somehow in the process. Then after 30 days, if they haven't made a decision, which makes me kind of sad, because I think after 30 days they should make a decision, but if they haven't, that's okay. I'm gonna put them in my box. What I do is, like, the first 15 days of the month, I take on the first of the month, like at the beginning of November, I would take all of those people and put them in the first 15 days. So I would just sort of separate them out. So let's say if I had 50 cards, I would evenly put them out, like put them through the box. So that way I would make sure within the first 15 days of November that a hot prospect from October gets reached out to at least one time, right? Because I would say, so on the 1st of November, I would go to the one, pull out all the cards on the first day and just do a quick follow-up with those people. And then on November 2nd, pull those cards out, boom, and so on down the line. So then once I've done my followed up on the 1st, okay, and I've done my follow-up, then I'm going to stick that card probably back on like the 16th, okay? And then when I've done all my people from the 2nd, then I'm going to put the card in the 17th. Are you guys following me? And so what happens is there's always a consistent method of making sure that nobody falls through the cracks. So they were a hot prospect that got really poured into for 30 days. And then the next month, they're at least going to I'm going to touch base with them twice, and I'm not going to forget. Super easy to forget especially once you start getting a really full funnel of people, right? So that's sort of the card box method of making sure you stay organized, and you just keep filtering people through the box, and you just keep following up and just keep making sure. So there's people on here that I've just pulled one out, and I mean, Tammy Gordon is from 6/27/2015, but she's here, and I can see anything that I've ever messaged to her, and she's going to still be in my box. And so especially it's really good too, especially when Plexus comes out with like a big special or something, like then it's an opportunity to go through the entire box and just send something out to everybody. Like, oh my gosh, we have a great special. Just wanted to make sure you knew about it. I also, for me, added in my box, I have a section for my non-active ambassadors that I keep cards on them to make sure that I'm not forgetting to follow up with them. I have cards for my active ambassadors. I don't really do such a good job with that one anymore. And then I have a section for customers, current customers, and a section for non-active customers. And so there's also there's opportunities there. It's just really for me, and I just have to make sure that I don't forget people. So if you have any questions about the card box system, let me know. It's pretty simple. Some people don't like carrying a box around. I've seen people do like the accordion files. That's an easier way to kind of stick it. And then, hold on. Where's my stuff? Hold on, I wanted to show you guys something. I usually have my Plexus organizer. Oh, because I have it in my bag because I wanted to make sure I had it with me. So, this is another idea that I think is really great. Now, the card box system I used for a year. I mean, I really love this system. I think it's simple, it's cheap, it's easy. But then they came out with this really fancy, the Plexus Smart Organizer, you guys, and it was designed by a Plexus ambassador. And it's basically the same idea as the card box system, but it's just fancier. So like in your lead section, it has basically the prompting of the questions, where it has like name, address, email, the initial contact, did you give them a sample, what are their health issues and concerns, and then like a way to keep track. And then it gives you, okay, so it's basically the same system, but it's just in a nice little book. And so this is good. This is like $35. The only drawback that I have with it is you just can't fit as much information. And then for me, I was finding that if I had a lead, because it has a customer section and an ambassador section, it's like, do I change the page and move it to the ambassador section or fill out a brand new? I don't know. But I do like this too. So I've actually tried both methods. Both are good. It's just a matter of preference, whichever one works better. Okay, and then I also want to say for me, I did this and it was very helpful to stay organized, is I keep a calendar, like a calendar for my appointments, and then I have a completely separate calendar for just Plexus customers and like follow-up type stuff. And so let me see if I have an example. Hold on. Not that you guys can see it on the stupid screen, so why am I looking for an example of that? So basically, if you have a calendar and you have a snapshot of the month, what I love to do is at the beginning of the month, as I go through and I write down like all my preferred customers when they're going to auto ship. So I'll write on in a little square, like this is when they're going to auto ship, and then I'll go a week up, basically, and make sure that I follow up with them a week before they're supposed to auto ship to try to upgrade them to an ambassador. Because I believe that anytime you have a preferred customer that's been a preferred customer for a couple of months, there's really no reason why that person shouldn't be flipped to an ambassador. There just really isn't. Unless you're really managing your PV and you're trying to keep your PV. But if you're doing a good job of bringing new people on and bringing on new customers, and you're keeping your pipeline kind of full of bringing on 3 new customers, then it's okay to then start flipping customers into ambassadors who are happy. Because, and this is, and I know it's getting late, it's 10, but there's to me, a school of thought on flipping them and not leaving them as customers, because some things happen. Even if they're going to be a wholesale ambassador, some things happen as they get plugged into team pages. So they're starting to get better information. They, at some level, even if they say they're never going to sell, I'm always communicating to them that they have the opportunity to if they ever change their mind. So it's like they know they have a website. So I think that psychologically, somehow they're more apt to maybe tell somebody about Plexus if they're a wholesale ambassador with the option to sell rather than just a customer. So I think psychologically it's important to make a customer an ambassador, and we're all about team building, and really it's okay to have your team full of wholesale ambassadors. I mean, I have so many wholesale ambassadors, you guys. I mean, I need probably 70, 80, 90 wholesale ambassadors on my level 1s, and and they're cool, they're good, and a lot of them eventually come around and do decide, and they aren't banging out business builders, but they might get 3 or 4 customers. Good for them, right? Then they get to pay for their products. So anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but I do think it's important to keep that calendar, know when your people, be intentional about trying to flip them like a week or so before, so you have a snapshot of what that looks like. I also like to say when I have the calendar in front of me and someone orders, they become a customer or they become an ambassador, because they're just as important to follow through a brand new ambassador with follow-up. I want to make sure that I'm sending good information to them. So when someone becomes a customer, you say on Monday, all right, became a preferred customer, order the triplex. So then for the next probably 30 days, sending them really great information every few days about the triplex, about how to use Plexus. So that's a little different than, prospecting, following up, but keeping that sort of organized system about it is, I think, really important for your customers and ambassadors too. So I really feel like I didn't do a very good job explaining that, because I'm getting tired. It's almost 10 o'clock and I've been talking a lot. So if you have any questions about what the heck I just said about a calendar, let me know. All right. I'm going to close it out because it's been an hour of me talking. Does anybody have any questions about organization, or do you have a system that you have found that has been just awesome that you can share with the group? I don't know, Sherry, I just watched that video, and then she says, is it just your level 1 ambassadors? I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Sherry.
When you put when you had your cards in your card list,
yeah,
or in your box, you said you had one for just your active ambassadors. Were those just level 1 ambassadors?
Correct. Yeah, just level 1s.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I hope that was a little bit helpful, you guys. So anyway, I think so for the challenge, sort of your focus this week, we're going to continue, of course, reaching out, because that's important. If you need to take it down to 5, not a problem. If you're comfortable with continuing at 10, I think that's awesome. The more people you're reaching out to, the more people you're going to have in your funnel. So continue with that. Focus on your chickens. And remember, kind of going back to the beginning of the call, praying over them, building the relationship, and affirming them. Start feeding their ego and planting the seeds that you really want to be doing it with them. And then really, really intentionally I want you to feel like you become a master at follow-up, that you're like, I want you to follow up until you think you're following up too much. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think you can follow up with people too much. If you don't follow up with people, it's not important to them, and they don't, that's, I think, where we fail and where we have people like on the fence and not really signing up and not really becoming customers. So just always remember, it's the 8th to 12th. It's average. Be the person that gets to the 8th to the 12th and doesn't give up after the 2 or the 3. Okay. You guys got it? Are you ready for a great week? You guys are on fire. The momentum, there's energy, there's momentum. We got our funnels full. Our businesses are rolling. We are going to see the fruit. And I see Sherry's needs to go to sleep, and so do I. So it's 10 o'clock. I get it. I've been at Busch Gardens all day. I'm tired too. I'm getting hoarse. All right. All right, guys. Love you. Have a great week. Bye.